This thing is so f***ing awesome. I f***ing love this f***ing thing. Yeah. Wait, why are we censoring it? I just said flippin'. And as you'll learn from the full review on AndroidAuthority.com, the OPPO Find N2 Flip is flippin' fabulous. But it's not all roses, so let's talk about it. Now, the TLDR on the OPPO Find N2 Flip is that this phone has a lot of positives and some noticeable omissions, but it's still a solid phone, so enough said, right? Give this video a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and you didn't think we were really gonna let you get off that easy, right? We still have lots to talk about. Jokes aside, we felt that the N2 Flip's build quality was no joke. This phone is built just as well as other flagship phones out there, thanks to its sturdy aluminum chassis, and because it's a flippin' phone, you get an extra display. Starting from the outside screen, the Find N2 Flip features a sometimes useful 3.26-inch display with 60 Hz refresh rate to get notifications, take quick selfies, and to scroll through a limited selection of widgets, which are, like I said, pretty limited in function compared to traditional apps. Once you flip that bad boy open, you are face to face with arguably one of the best features of this phone, a display with a nearly invisible crease. I mean, it's there if you go looking for it at the most awkward of angles, but overall, it's not something that you'll notice, and you may even forget that you're using a folding phone. Speaking of the display, the N2 Flip features a 6.8-inch 21:9 aspect ratio LTPO AMOLED FHD Plus display, that's a mouthful, which gets variable refresh rates between 1 Hz up to 120 Hz. The internal display is different from some of the other foldables out there, and OPPO chose to go with a UTG ultra-thin glass display, much like its close competitor, the Samsung Galaxy Flip 4. And thanks to OPPO Flexion water drop hinge, you can open the hinge to any degree for, grabbing it to set up for a selfie, or if you wanted to watch a video, you could put it at a little bit of an angle and kind of just set it up there. It's a nice, handy little feature to have. So we always read the comments about dust ingress and the dreaded inducing plastic screen protectors, but you don't get that here. OPPO says that its display, along with the hinge, are tested for 400,000 folds. So you know it's gonna last a while, which is great because you'll be able to flip this phone for 4 full Android versions, as well as make it through 5 years of security updates. Inside the chassis, you get some impressive stats that you can see here, including the Dimensity 9000 Plus chip, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, but no expansion. You also get a 4300 milliamp hour battery. We couldn't notice the screen crease, which is definitely an added bonus on the positive side here, and you get a great selfie cam. So, we mentioned the selfie cam. There's not really that much to say about the cameras outside of that. As you can see, there are a couple of cameras on the back, providing you a 50 megapixel wide angle main sensor, which is okay in daylight and gives you flexibility for taking selfies using that external mini display. As for the secondary sensor, the 8 megapixel ultra-wide IMX355 sensor, which oddly enough, you may remember as the Pixel 3 selfie cam, well, they threw that one on the back. The 50 megapixel main camera struggles in low light, gives off an annoying lens flare, lacks any real attempt at dynamic range, and in the end, results really aren't great. But under decent circumstances, you're able to snap off some usable pics and even some photos from odd angles using OPPO's Flex mode. Round that out with a prehistoric ultrawide on which you'll readily spot chromatic aberrations and a drop in detail quality at the lens's edges. But worse is the aforementioned lack of dynamic range. You'll end up with lost detail and contrasty mess. Combine that with even more pronounced denoising and sharpening issues than the main sensor, there's virtually no detail from wide angle snaps available at all. They might pass for social media photos, but that's about it. If you're looking for a folding phone with a great camera, honestly, this isn't it. But what it lacks in more serious phone photography, it more than makes up for in its ability to have versatility for the selfie cams. Now, on the inside, on your main screen, you will get a 32 megapixel IMX709 RGBW selfie sensor, complete with autofocus to assist with video calls. This sensor handles a lot of selfie scenarios really well, and although it falls short on dynamic range in bright backlit and low-lit environments, you will have more than enough options for taking selfies using that back main camera like we talked about before. In our time with the OPPO Find N2 Flip, we were impressed with OPPO's portrait mode, and it really was a highlight that made this phone fun for taking selfies. As for video, the Find N2 Flip can also shoot video at 4K and 1080p at 30 FPS. So it's mostly good, right? I mean, the OPPO Find N2 Flip is a superbly well-built smartphone, boasting an immaculate display and hinge technology that is every bit as good as the best in the business, if not the best. And you get great all-day performance from the 4300 mAh battery. Unfortunately, there are a few things that should give you some reason to pause. Firstly, the 67-watt Super VOOC charge is great if you're okay with lugging it around everywhere you go, but it's USB-A, and for us, during our testing, the phone peaked at 26 watts of charging, while OPPO claims that it should hit 44 watts. Oddly enough though, even with the lower charge rates, we still saw it hitting the advertised charge times of 50% in under 25 minutes and 100% in under an hour. And if you want to use one of your existing USB-C PD chargers, well, you're only going to get a snail's pace slow 15 watts of charging, which, much like the antiquated Pixel 3 ultra-wide camera, the IPX4 weather resistance rating, the phone's throwback Gorilla Glass 5, they should all be left in the past. Oh yeah, and if you're into wireless charging, well, it doesn't have that either. But if you can look past those things, this is a phone that makes smartphone technology fun again with tons of charm. And for a listed MSRP of just £849 or just north of $1,000 USD, depending on the day, it can compete well with the Samsung Flip 4 in price as well. The OPPO Find N2 Flip is the best made compact foldable on the market, with a virtually hidden crease and robust hinge. It's built to last too, with an update commitment that shares the #1 spot in the Android space. With all-day battery life, making this a more dependable workhorse than its rival, the Samsung Flip 4. So, you've heard what we think, but what are your thoughts on the OPPO Find N2 Flip? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed to get all the latest. But it's been a blast, folks. I'm Ryan from Authority Media. Be kind, and we'll see you on the next one.